the first and great pioneers of modern British cooking. It's Mr. Paul Rankin.
Yeah.
Great to have you back on the show, Paul.
Yeah, it's lovely. Always lovely to be here. I do love this.
And this is roast chicken done your way, because you like your Asian sort of flavours.
Yeah, it's kind of a classic roast, but with aromatics. So we're going to brine the chicken, then we put in garlic, ginger, scallions inside it, then we've got honey soy glaze, and this is the vegetables 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, I'm going to...
The whole point behind this is that you sort of get the one that takes the longest in first. So,
so you want me to prepare these first?
Say your carrots take 5 minutes, they go in 5 minutes to go. So I need about 10 slices of ginger. Yeah. Just bash the scallions and bash the garlic for me. Okay, the chicken. You know, classically, you can whack a chicken straight into the oven, a bit of salt and pepper, a bit of oil or whatever. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to brine it. And this is something that makes your chicken deliciously juicy. It gives it a wonderful seasoning. It makes it much more tasty, I think. So for the brine, I have salt and sugar. So just heating up a little bit of the brine. I have a litre of water.
Now, a lot of people were worried about this, thinking that it departs from the flavour, but I actually think it's improving it, really, as well.
Well, it can depart. So you dissolve your salt and sugar. That's about 5 tablespoons of salt, 4 tablespoons of sugar for a litre of water. Yeah. If you brine it for too long, it does start to take over the whole flavour thing, James, and you don't get such a natural flavour. So allow your brine to cool. In goes your chicken. This is probably not a perfect size receptacle for this, because you want quite a small one so that the brine totally covers it. I brine it for about an hour. Right. And then you have something like this. And it doesn't look any different at all. Yeah. So what we have to do now is dry the chicken before we season it up and start to roast it. Very important, actually, when you're doing any kind of roast, to dry your meat. Okay. Really important.
Also cook it from room temperature, wouldn't you, as well?
Yeah.
I think that helps.
Take your meat. If you've got a large piece of fish or a decent-sized piece of meat, steaks, etc.
So I've dropped a bean.
Take them...
Sorry,
I don't think the viewers would have noticed that.
That's all right.
I don't... You know, take them out of the fridge an hour or so before. Let them come to room temperature, and that's the way to go.
What about brining chickens at home? Have you ever... simply take a chicken and put it in the oven, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's about my expertise as a chef. In the oven, done.
I've got some 5-spice powder here, which I'm mixing just with a little bit of salt. We don't need too much salt because there's so much salt in the brine. So 5-spice and a little bit of salt going inside. Yep. And then we rub the rest over the top of the chicken. And 5-spice is one of those classic Asian seasonings, which just makes all poultry and pork taste amazing.
Right, now you want to do this. This is the veg. Explain to us about this veg then, because I'm nearly there with the last one.
So, I mean, in French cookery, you know, you have this bouquetière de légumes, you call it. You always have a glamorous name for it.
Your French is very good.
So this is like a bouquetière de légumes, or a little ragout of vegetables. But when I was training in French cooking, we would blanch them all separately and then refresh them in ice-cold water.
That's right.
Yeah. And this is quite a lot of work, actually. So what I do is I sort of get them ready, and then the vegetable that takes the longest to cook goes in first. So it means you can use one pot. So in goes the carrots, and they'll take about 4 or 5 minutes.
That's number 5, yep.
And then the next one to go in will be the beans, which only take about 4 minutes. So we just keep going like that. And when I do these sort of vegetables, my kids eat way, way more vegetables.
Okay, all right. Now,
so the scallions, the ginger, scallions, the ginger. What do you call scallions over here again?
Spring onions.
Spring onions.
Spring onions.
Spring onions, garlic, ginger in there. The holy trinity of Chinese seasonings, really. Yeah. That's what Ken Horn calls it anyway. Yeah. My dad, Ken Horn. Me and Ken go way back. So you can just tie the chicken legs together like that, but you know,
so you put this powder all over it then, really?
And inside it. Right. Yeah. So a very simple way to tie a chicken, just round the bottom, bring it round there, up round the top, and double over on that one so that you don't have to have someone to, someone has to press down on the knot.
All right, yeah.
So if you do a double tie,
So you're basically just holding the legs together, really, that one.
Yeah, it's just keeping it neat,
Yeah.
So, classic technique for roasting a chicken. Hot. Ooh, that pan is smoking. Did you turn that up?
I didn't turn it.
You turned that up.
I wouldn't do such a thing.
Wow. So, the classic French technique is on one side roast, and then the other side, very quickly, we brown it. You did this on purpose, James Martin.
I wouldn't do such a thing.
You are such a rascal.
Let me read this. Remember, if you'd like to ask a question in the show, I did it on purpose. You can call this number. That's 08716 41 41 41. Calls cost 10p a minute from the BT landline. Mobiles and other networks may vary. And if you to put your questions to us live a little later on.
This is going to be on the best bits thing, isn't it? Do you remember that time Paul Rankin set the chicken on fire?
Exactly. Go on then. Right.
So what we do...
That's number 4 gone in there, by the way. The
brown
beans
it
have gone
both sides, whack it in the oven, and you start it off in a really nice hot oven.
And a hot tray.
In a hot tray.
And I forgot to tell you, don't forget that you can find Paul's recipe along with all the other studio recipes from today's show on our website, bbc.co.uk/Saturday
And
Kitchen.
if you want to taste it, I've got this on the Sunday lunch menu at the restaurant tomorrow, Cayenne and Belfast. So get on the plane, come over. You can come over now and have your roast chicken at the restaurant.
It's all worth it for the chicken.
Yeah, it's all worth it for the chicken. Because not only that, you're working with another familiar face on the show as well, your mate, Mr. Nick Nairn. So.
Oh, and I've got a wee telly show going with Nick Nairn. It's called Paul and Nick's Big Food Trip. Oh, there's a bowl there. And Nick and I travel.
Number 3 going in, by the way.
Travel about the coast of Northern Ireland and Scotland, searching out great food. Mostly arguing, I have to say.
Yeah,
mostly about 4 tablespoons of light soy sauce.
Now, why light and not dark? What?
Well, it's a personal preference, really.
Right.
I think sometimes people, or you can use a combination, or you can use the dark. I find the dark a little bit almost heavy and caramelized in flavour, kind of thing. A little bit of chili sauce going in there.
This is that sweet chili sauce.
Sweet chili sauce, and of course a wee bit of whiskey. Delicious. Pinch of chili flakes. Now this recipe, could you just grate me about a tablespoon of ginger, please, James? This recipe came, it's inspired by our staff meal, because you know when we have a lot of chickens in the restaurant, quite often you're left over with the wings. You make something beautiful from it.
Customers,
I used to give it to the staff, and what I used to do was mix...
You're generous, aren't you?
They loved the chicken wings. They loved them. So we would mix honey, soy sauce, and ketchup, which is a really simple glaze.
Right.
Fry off the chicken wings, in it went, and I tell you, they loved it.
That's more like a barbecue sort of thing with the ketchup as well, isn't it, really? That?
Yeah, it gives you that lovely little sort of tang to it. It becomes a little bit sweet and sour.
Right. There's your ginger.
You start the chicken off really hot in the oven, about 220. Going to take about an hour and 10 minutes to have a chicken that size.
Yep.
After about 50 minutes,
going in.
Yeah, after about 50 minutes, you whack on the glaze and you start to baste it over the top.
Number 2, number 4. Anyway, it's all gone in.
Yeah, it's in there now. Good man. But anyway,
5 gone in there.
This is what it comes out like. Check this out. So you've got the beautifully glazed chicken. Looks good, doesn't it, guy?
It looks lovely.
You sure that's not your food heaven?
It's close. It's pretty close.
There you go.
So another thing I want to show you is that
You have to hurry up. I've been told in my ear.
You said we had time to do everything, James. Oops. Another thing I like to do, you know how it's quite difficult sometimes with a chicken? You just put that in the heat a little bit. Okay. I like to take the legs off. You just do it like you're boning it. So,
don't forget, you
tease
take
the
that
legs
little
off.
sort of...
The little oyster in
The little
there, we call
oyster out
it.
from underneath.
You call that the oyster in France?
Solilès.
Huh?
Solilès.
Solilès.
Solilès. It means the stupid one will leave it on.
So means they?
The one who is stupid will leave this best part on.
There you go.
I'd probably leave that on, yeah. I'd be listening.
You know how it's quite difficult, to carve a chicken at the table, I think, especially in a family situation.
Right, butter, ginger. You want that in there?
So I take it, I let it rest. Very important to let it rest when it comes out of the oven. And when a chicken is cooked, it's very easy to get the breasts off.
Right, there's all your veg,
And
gone in with your
you
butter.
can do it mostly with your hand, teasing it off. So I get it ready to this stage, then I pop it back on a platter and whack the platter just lightly in the oven to warm it slightly.
You've got a cold platter.
So you got the ginger soya butter in there, James, yeah?
Yeah.
And then I give it a little
Soy's
slice.
gone in.
So we have our drumsticks, we have our thighs.
There's all your veg.
Wow, look at those big, look at that delicious cauliflower. Lovely, isn't it? Bit too much cauliflower there. So on goes the chicken, beautifully carved. Well,
Beautifully carved.
it's so...
I reckon the veg looks better than that.
Oh, no, that looks good now. A little bit of
So
jus on
tell us
there.
what that is again.
That's my aromatic roast chicken with the soya honey glaze and vegetables 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's what it is.
It's the Easter holidays, so what better place to come than Eastbourne? But I'm not just here for a stroll by the beach. I need to find some lovely wines to go with this morning's recipes. Paul's wonderful Asian take on a roast chicken dinner is full of subtle sweet and sour flavours, and it's the kind of dish that you could serve with a white wine or a red, or even a rosé, something like this, which is ripe and fruity enough to cope with the chilli and the spice in Paul's dish. But the honey and ginger in this recipe are leading me towards a white wine, and a particular grape variety, Viognier. And so I'm going to go for the Connoisseur Viognier from Chile, which is peachy and exotic and a great match for Paul's roast chicken. Although on paper Paul's recipe looks quite hot and spicy, the actual flavours on the plate are surprisingly subtle. So we need a wine that's aromatic but not too much to overpower the dish. Oh, that's beautifully fragrant. You've got flavours of apricot, ginger and honey here, all of which work brilliantly with roast chicken. There's lots of ripe fruit to balance the salty soy and the chili, and then there's also a light spicy note that's going to pick up on the 5-spice and the gingery vegetables. Paul, with a glass of this and a plate of your spiced chicken, I reckon you've got the perfect weekend roast.